All right, all right. I am joined today by Zandra Baheyadeen, the owner and founder and everything at Zan Can. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Greg?
Fantastic, fantastic. So I reached out to Zan and asked her if she would chat with me because I've seen her business for years now. And she also shows up in such a positive way on social media that I thought she'd be a great person to talk to. Plus, I think what she does can be valuable for my clients. And so wanted to get a little bit more detail about exactly what it is that you do. I've got an idea and I've seen your post, but tell us a little bit about ZanCan. I believe it started as a personal assistant and concierge business. Is that right?
It did. I started off running errands and waiting in line, taking people's vehicles to be serviced. So yeah, I started off as errand services and concierge services, and yeah, it expanded.
Yeah, so it's changed, I think, over the years, right? So tell
Yes.
us a little bit, I guess, about what inspired you to start the business and what you did to get it off the.
I started my business back in 2010, so I'm going into 15 years in March. I have 18 years in restaurant management, 2 years in retail management, so 20 years in management, customer service. So I love people. Long story short, I lost my job when I was 7 months pregnant with my last son, which is now 16. So that basically consumed me and had me being a housewife, which I was not happy doing. I tried that for a little bit, and when I was off, my husband started telling people, "Oh, call Zan. Zan can do it." Because at the time, he had some rental properties, and so I'd meet people to get their rent money. I'd run different errands, so he kept saying, "Call Zan. Zan can do it," and so that's how I got my name, Zan Can. But it didn't happen right away. I went in back into retail management, and I just started losing jobs. So it's like every company I went to work for, they'd close within a year because this was the Great Recession of
Yeah.
2008. And so I
Okay.
would lose jobs. And so after I lost the second job, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna probably try to bank on myself. And standing in the post office line with my little one, I came up with this idea, came home, Googled, and it came up personal assistant, personal concierge. Called my cousin that was in law school at the time and said, "Hey, how do I do this?" And the first thing she asked was, "What's the name of the business going to be?" And I said, "Zan Can. If you can't, Zan Can." And that's how it came about.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the services that you now offer and kind of how it's expanded over the years.
Our main niche markets are real estate. So we are huge in real estate. Real estate concierge is what I always entitle that umbrella. But pre-listing prep, which means we'll come into your clients' homes once they get that punch list and help them execute because ultimately people don't know where to start. So real estate pre-listing prep is one of our main services. And then we offer realtor services. So that's your sign placement, keys, document delivery, pop buys, any of that type of stuff. And then the third one would be clean out services. So when you go in and you get those properties and you're just like, what? Where do I start? We go in, and once again, my guys will execute that. Decluttering, organizing is another huge market for us. And then we still do some errands just on a very small level because now Hy-Vee and all these places deliver. So we really don't get a
Right.
lot of calls for that. And we still do offer weight services because when you call to have somebody come in like Sears or Nebraska Furniture is going to deliver your furniture, but you can't wait. And for our clients, time is money. So we
Mhm.
will go in and provide a weight service. And we also do home inspections, kind of, sort of, where the houses are vacant for investors. And so I have an investment team that I work with on the regular basis, and I go in once a month or whenever they send me a list, and I just make sure that nobody has squatters, the water
Mhm.
pipes haven't busted, and things like that. So those are our main
Okay.
services now.
Yeah. So tell me more about the real estate prep. So this is somebody that's getting ready to put their house on the market.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we go in, and sometimes they have a punch list, and sometimes people find us. Most of the time, we're referred by realtors, but sometimes we are not. People will just start searching for people to come in and organize and declutter with the hopes of, I'm going to sell this house. And they have no idea, especially if they've stayed there 25, 30. We had someone in their house for 54 years. They had no idea where to start. And usually people have those hidden secrets that are normally your basements, your garages that are just overflowing with stuff. The kids move out, they don't take their stuff. You have grandkids, they move in and they never
Yeah.
take their stuff. And so you accumulate all these things. And so we go in and help them execute it from start to finish. So some people need a little help, some need a lot of help. So we offer both.
Yeah, I've seen some of your pictures, some of your before and after pictures. So
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of decluttering, right? Helping them get rid of stuff and
Yeah.
hauling, organizing, make it look good.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you do that for people who are not moving? Just
Yes.
okay. Let's say my house is a disaster, you can come help me get it organized, or my garage is a disaster, you could come organize it for me and make it all good.
Yeah, we get a lot of those. And during COVID, as soon as that ban was lifted, the phone just rang and never stopped ringing. We will kick off New Year, New Organized Me here next week, but people just never stopped. I think being at home and sitting in it, they're like, we don't want to sell, but this place is a disaster. And they just don't want to do it because they're emotionally attached to those things where we're not. And then people also hesitate on calling because they don't want to feel judged, because when you're going in people's home, that's their sacred space. And so when we go in, we are not judging them. We come from a place, let's help, let's see how we can get you out of here. Because I mean, I think that everybody needs a cheerleader, and that's
Yeah.
really where it starts.
Yeah, and before I forget to say it, that's one thing I'd like to say about Zan is she, again, from what I see, and I assume this is the real you, but you're out there to help people. When you go above and beyond, I think what you get paid to do many times. And so I appreciate that about you. So let me say it now before I forget to do it. So, what's a typical day look like for you, or is there any such thing as a typical day?
You know what? We can go from 1 to 10. I say we because I couldn't do this by myself. I cannot. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Because I did this by myself. Like I said, I'm going into 15 years in March, and I did this by myself probably the first 5 years.
Mm,
And I would be in these houses trying to declutter and do this stuff myself. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding. And then people started to approach me. Oh, I love organizing. I love decluttering. And so that's how I started kind of bringing on team members. Now I work with my brother, and he has a moving company. So we collaborate. So when I see those big hoarder type situations, I will go out with my brother and we will take a look and we will bid those jobs. And then he and his team actually do the physical part of it, especially if it's really heavy.
yeah.
Because sometime, I mean, our biggest project, they needed 4 40-yard dumpsters and 3 U-Haul trucks to get the house cleaned out. They were there for 11 days and they had rodents in there. And
Oh,
me and the ladies are definitely afraid of rodents. And so for a typical day for us, I try to start about 8:30, 9 o'clock as far as heading out to a job site. But I get up about a quarter to 5 in the morning and meditate and try to get my mind right, because a lot of times when you go into these situations, people are not in good spaces when we go into a lot of these spaces, especially if it's a hoarder or a cluttering situation, because we deal with really cluttered homes. And sometimes they're working from home. They have children sometimes that still live at home. And so when we go out, I try to start at 9 o'clock, 9:30. 10 o'clock is really late. And normally that's at the client's request if we start at 10. And we just work. We usually try to work at least 8 hours or until the client puts us out. Sometimes we work 12 hours. It really depends on how much they can take. But I do
mhm.
have like a 3 to 4 hour minimum depending on where we're driving, because sometimes if it's too emotional for them, they'll let you work an hour and they'll pay you for three. And so I have to make
Wow.
sure that I'm clear that, in order for us to get this done, we need at least 3 to 4 hours, consistent hours, and we can see some light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have some typical situations where you feel like you can have the biggest impact for a client? Would it be those where they're just really cluttered and it's affecting their life?
Yes, those are the most rewarding for us because I always give a photo release and I have contracts, but they always give us a photo release. Some of them don't, but I'm gonna say 99% of them will give us a photo release. And I just explain to them that this is how we get clients like yourself, and this is how we're able to help more people, because If you're not vulnerable and you won't let people in, how do you ever get help? And most of them, I just got a letter, a card the other day, and I actually shared it on Facebook. And she just said, "Thank you for helping me be able to breathe and love my home again." And that brought me to tears
Yeah.
because that client is now on a maintenance plan. So we go there every quarter to help her because a lot of time these people are second and third generation hoarders and they just no, by no means possible, they just can't keep it up. They need help.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't ever think
Yeah,
about that, that
yeah,
once you do it one time, that may not be the grand finale, that they need an
yeah. Yeah, and that's called a
ongoing help.
reset. I call it a reset, refresh. When I do a reset, we just come in and basically just reset everything up. If we do a refresh, that's normally 3 to 4 hours. We're normally going through the entire house, reset, refreshing everything because maybe the linen closets are a disaster. The kids' toys are everywhere. Most of the time, it's every quarter, but sometimes people will have us in bi-monthly is the goal. And I always make a recommendation based on the situation.
Yeah, yeah. So have you worked on any projects that were particularly memorable or unique or funny? You got any good stories to share?
Oh, I
What?
could write a book and change the name to protect the innocent. I love people and to see them is so funny because now we deal with a lot of people that went through divorce or estate. But we have this one family we were working with. We were there 26 days. We got to know the neighbors. He was second generation hoarder and he didn't want any involvement at all, where the wife was just like, I got to get us out of this. We have two girls and we just can't do this. And so we would go there, we would let ourselves in and out. I think she gave us some direction the first week. And after that, it was basically she would text and say what she wanted done. But pretty much we had to come up with a plan from start to finish. And they were listing the house. And so we did everything from them from declutter, organize, pack, load pods, dumpsters. And then once the dumpsters began to be too much, I would have my junk guy, which now we offer junk removal too, come and haul trash away every Friday before 4 o'clock, before the husband got home. And so, yeah, that was interesting. But I'll never forget, we were probably about 5 weeks in, the little girl comes home. And we had to start at the basement and work our way up because this was like a 3,000 square foot home. So it was a pretty nice size home. She comes in and she sees the garage and she was like, I can bring friends over now. We can play in here. And she was so excited. When we got done, it was just like such a weight off of the family. But we just could not believe it. As soon as I went in and I was just in shock, I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. Because I was new. I had only been in business maybe 7 years at the time. And I told her, I said, if you trust me, I promise you I'll get you out of this. Because she was in tears. She didn't know where to start, but she knew that they needed a change. And so they ended up hiring us not only to get the house ready for the market, they also hired us to come and unpack and organize.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of our most rewarding because I look back at those pictures and I'm just like, oh my goodness, how? How did we do
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
Because it was a lot. It was a lot, but just to see that family move on and get a fresh start, and that's all they wanted was to get a fresh start, you know.
yeah. So what advice would you give someone who's feeling overwhelmed, whether it's clutter, just too many things on their to-do list or whatever?
Start small. Start small. I always say set a timer and just start small because I think when people look at the big space or the big picture, they're just like, this is too much crap. And everybody needs a cheerleader. I always say start small. If you have a cluttered desk, start with a section on your desk. I'm going to give myself 10 minutes and I'm going to do this section today and then maybe tomorrow. Because if you start to see just a little bit of progress, it just comes on in the brain and just makes you want to go and have more of that because it's just like a spark. You're like, I can do this. And I have people that hire us just to get them started. And then they say, you know
Mm,
what, Zan, I cleared that whole closet today. And I'm like, yes. And I always tell people, celebrate your small wins. Because sometimes people just want to celebrate when they're done. No, celebrate every single thing that you do. If you got that corner cleaned out today, celebrate. Go get ice cream cone. But I'm there to cheer them on. But I just say, hey, you can do this. And we do. We get them done. We get them done.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, how do you see the business evolving for you, say over the next few years? Do you have anything new in mind, or you just kind of see what comes up and see how you can help?
I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now as far as real estate, as far as pre-listing. I never saw this. I started off, I would place signs and like fill flyer boxes up. But for me, it's just basically finding a niche, something that hasn't been filled and filling it. And that's how my business has grown and expanded because we offer everything under one roof. We're your one-stop shop. So if you're looking for a mover, we got that. You're looking for a packer, we got that. You're looking for an organizer, we do that. I don't clean, but I have referral partners that I refer to for cleaning, for landscaping, window washing, handyman services. So I have all those people that I network with, and I'm always looking for more quality people. So if you know any, send them my
Yeah,
way. We just offer one-stop shop. We want to be convenient. We don't want people to have to worry about, well, gotta find a mover, need somebody to do my landscape. So we offer that, try to be a resource in every place we go. We always try to be helpful. And if I go out and I offer free consultations. And the majority of the time, I say 9 out of 10, they hire me. But if they don't, I still try to find a resource. I always try to be helpful and be a resource for them. If I can't help them, I'll say, hey, XYZ would be a good resource or a good place to start. And they appreciate that. And
yeah,
sometimes they spin the block and they come back.
yeah. It's really anything that has to do with a home. If you can't do it, you probably know somebody who can, or you can help find somebody who can.
Yeah. Yep. If you can't, Zan can. So that's my slogan. So if I can't, then I refer that business off. I always try to be a resource and say, hey, I know you can't afford my service, but this is somebody or something that you could do to offset the cost. And this would really be helpful. So I try to, and I have people that I take boxes to that are packing, and some people just honestly cannot afford it. And if that's the case, we usually have a resource for them too. And we do on occasion finance people that can't afford the service but really need the
Okay.
service. And that's usually a last resort, but we know sometimes people just honestly cannot afford it in some of the situations that we see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just try and help them
We
get
try to
pointed
help
in the
them.
right direction and
Mhm.
and cheer them on.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I call and check in on them and things like that. And even after the service is ended, I still have relationship with people that, like my very first client, we text each other every single day. She was my first client when I started almost 15 years ago.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So I just saw a story, I think yesterday or the day before, about you picking up a pizza for a gentleman.
Oh
What was that all
yeah,
about?
yeah. He's my client. He hired me about a year ago. He's been here for 2 years. Hired me a year ago and started having some health challenges that does not allow him to go out. And his brother was helping him here in town. And his brother fell and hurt himself. They're all seniors.
Uh,
And so he could no longer run his errands. And so he found me online, hired me. And so I've been working with him for about a year now. And it's his birthday today. And I took him to the doctor last week for a follow up because he had surgery the week before last. And he said, I just love pizza. He was like, we had good pizzerias back in California. I was like, oh, really? So I'm taking all this information in because I'm like, he doesn't have his son. He has one son and grandchildren, but they live out of state. I'm like, nobody's probably going to check in on him on his birthday. And so when I went to the dentist yesterday in South Kansas City, there's a place called Southside Mafia Pizza on Blue Ridge. If you ever get an opportunity, they are amazing. So I went over there and I said, I'm going to take Pat a pizza. So I called him. He didn't answer right away. I called him back and I said, hey, tomorrow's your birthday. What are you doing? He was like, I still don't feel 100%. So, I'm just going to be here at the house. And I said, well, I'm going to swing by. And he says, okay. So I stopped by and I have this pizza. He said, what do you got there? So I opened up. He's like, oh, that looks so good. And so I just wanted to give him something to say, hey, I see you. He's diabetic. So I didn't take him cake. Last year I made the mistake and took him cake. So I don't want any issues with the ER. And so I just want people to feel special. And so for him, I wanted to take him something to say, hey, happy birthday. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. And he's probably going to be tired of me. I'm going to call and sing happy birthday in a little bit. because he doesn't
Oh,
have any family here, and I just can't imagine what that feels like. There's no Christmas tree up at his house. There's just nothing. So I always try to
yeah,
call and check on him. But on his birthday last year, I got him a cake and a little Christmas tree. I always try to make sure that everybody feels special because I get those people that don't have anybody. Yeah.
right. Right. Well, that's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
how can people get a hold of you if they want to chat with you about doing some work for them?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook. I'm Zan Can on Facebook, personal assistant and concierge service. And then I have a website, www.zancan, the number four, letter u.com. Or they can reach me at area code 913-708-3707.
All right. Well, you've got my blessing. So, if anybody needs any help, feel free or please do reach out to Zan. She's a good one, as I like to say about a handful of people that I really appreciate. So, thank you so much for chatting with us today, and maybe we'll have you back on here in a few months and see if you got any new stories to tell.
Always got plenty of stories. Thank you so much, Greg. Happy holidays to
All
you.
right, Zan. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.